Hey everybody. So today we're going to do a tutorial. We're going to do the fancier way to install a zipper. Now this way is used when you're installing a zipper in a gusset, when you're installing it in a panel. It's just a little bit of a different way to do it than just cutting out the circular hole, sticking it in. That way works fine, but this is just a different way with rolled seams. It looks a little bit nicer. So we're going to hop into it. Well, you guys reported last week that the audio was off, and we just confirmed that the audio was broken. So we're filming with just straight from the camera, no external mic with this video, so I'm sorry if it's not great. So the way that we're going to do this is, we're going to make our zipper surround in 4 pieces. We're going to have 2 big pieces on either side, then we're going to have 2 shorter pieces on the bottom and the top that are going to extend however long you want them to extend. So we're going to do, your sizing of course is going to be all over the place, right? Because it all depends on what type of thing you're putting the zipper in. For us, I'm just going to say in theory we're going to make a 4-inch wide gusset with a zipper in it. Now to do that, we need to divide that in half, so that's 2 inches on each side of the zipper, minus the 1/2 inch that our zipper is going to take up. So 3.5 inches total. Now we need to add 1 inch to that because we're going to be doing a 1/2 inch skived and rolled seam. So 2 minus, 2 minus 1/4 is 3 3/4, plus 1/2 is 2 1/4. So we're going to do 2 1/4. Each of our side panels are going to be 2 1/4. And I don't know if this is like a universal thing, but for doing quarter measurements, you saw how I just did that without measuring at all. Our ruler is 1 1/4 inches wide. So what I do is I use the lines on my cutting board. If I want to do, let's say, 3/4 of an inch, I know that this line is 1/2, right? I know if I back this side up to that line, that gets me the 1/4 inch on this side to do perfect 3/4 marks without ever measuring, without ever doing anything. So these are going to be, as you can see, exactly 2 1/4.
No way.
Yeah. So little stuff like that, if you can like find tools that work well together, saves you a ton of time when you're just kind of freestyle and stuff like this.
That's a new tip for me.
You didn't know that?
No.
Oh, I've been doing that for years. All right, and then on our bigger piece, we don't really have a theoretical distance this is going to go, so I'm just going to cut this in half, and you guys will be able to see what it looks like. Now the next step, this is a very long clip, but the next step is I have my dividers set to a 1/2 inch. Well, they weren't, but now they are. Okay, so we're going to mark our skive lines on all of our pieces. I don't know if have we ever done a rolled edge tutorial? Like just to show them how to do rolled edges?
I don't know. They all kind of blend together, so.
Yeah, right. Well, we're going to get a rolled edge tutorial in here too, so let's get on to skiving. So once we have our skive done, before we glue everything, I'm gonna just fold this over and start working this leather to get used to being a rolled edge. And you're gonna want to use either a very deep skive, so if you're doing like 5-6 ounce leather, you're gonna want to do a skive that's like 1 inch, 1.5 inches thick, or 1.5 inches wide. But this is only 3 ounce and it's kind of waxy, so a 1/2 inch skive is perfect. And this is just kind of getting this used to being a rolled edge. I find this to be a little bit easier than to glue everything fresh and fold it all that way. So, as you can see, all of our pieces are folded. I'm going to kind of unfold them a little bit so I can get some glue in there. And then once we do this, now we're also going to line this on the back, so we don't need to be, we don't really need to be tidy with this glue up. Of course, if you're not lining this, you know, you're going to want to be more tidy. Okay, so once our glue is dry, all we're going to do is kind of fold this over and stick it. And then I'm going to take my bone folder. Well, let's get all these folded first. So if you split this like this, don't worry about it. It's a pretty long skive to make, and we're going to line it all anyway, so you'll never see it. We have our zipper here, and what I've done is I've gotten it prepared by removing some teeth at either end, because we're not going to use any stoppers. You can if you want, but you can use the leather as a stopper in this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a good measurement here, and you can see I'm not totally perfect on my folded seam, on my rolled edge, but we'll be able to kind of move that into place. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this to length, and I'm just giving myself like a little less than a ½ inch off either end on these side pieces, and I'm just going to use the one that I just trimmed to trim my other one. And then the sides we can trim after. So now comes the first application part. So this is called basting tape. It's double-sided. It's a little dirty on that little spot there. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my basting tape and I'm going to apply it preferably above the fold. So we're going to be stitching, because we're going to be stitching, we want to get both of these layers in. And I'm going to do it on both of these pieces. Now when you apply this, I've taken the little paper off so the sticky part is ready to go. I'm going to pick, most zipper tape has like lines in it, the weaving lines, and that's like a pretty good way to just like make sure that you're getting your zipper set nice and evenly. So I'm going to pick one of the lines and I'm going to just follow it basically. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. And that's why I like this tape, because you can then flip it over and you say, oh, well, this one's not perfect. You can just kind of peel it up and put it right back and you're good to go. And you can see we're starting to get our zipper looking nice. The next step is we need to glue on we're going to glue these, we're going to glue on our end pieces. And now these are the pieces that in theory, if you were making like a gusset, say, the zipper in it, these could extend as long as you wanted, right? But this is just a sample, so we're just going to do this amount. The one thing I am going to do first is I'm going to give this a little trim, because we don't need all of this. I'm just going to trim it to the top of the zipper. And then on the bottom, I think we're good there. So, you know, I gave myself a little extra, and now we just trim that off. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to use glue to install our end cap pieces. I'm just going to use the grid on my board. I'm going to make a mark right below where my teeth start, so that I'm gluing over a couple of these teeth, because remember, we're not using a stopper, so this leather is going to be our stopper. So you can see now we're just applying glue below our little line that we scribed on both sides. And remember, we're going to line this, so if this looks a little bit on these two, if this looks a little messy, that's totally fine, because no one's ever going to see it. So once our glue is tacky, dry to the touch, we're gonna put in our end cap pieces, like so. Oh, look at that, I got the old hammer out today. I don't know where the quarter pounder is.
It's under the bench.
Oh, is it?
The girls were playing with it.
Oh, we had 5-year-old twins here yesterday because we had a storm and no school. So the twins are here. All right, so we're gonna cap off these ends, but we're not gonna stitch yet because we need to install our liner. But you can see this is, now I'm just doing this as a quick example, but you can see here how this kind of dips out and that doesn't look very good. That's the beauty of using this tape, because now what I can do is I can go in here and undo this and I can move it and get it more, I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but get it more centered and we're good to go. So now we have to do our liner. To do our liner, what we need to do first is measure the length of our zipper. So it's 6 inches exactly. And we're going to say by a 1/2 inch, yep, 6 by 1/2. Now our piece of leather here, I'm not going to line this whole thing. I'm only going to go about a 1/2 inch past these two pieces on either side. So that means I need an 8.5 by, let's say, 3.5 inch piece. I've got my liner cut, and then what I did was I centered a 1/2 inch slot on the back, and what we're going to do is punch this out now, and this is going to be the liner for our zipper. So to cut a slot out like this, usually what I do, oh god, I'm moving so much stuff around. I have a 1/2 inch punch here. I'm not going to bother even trying to cut the ends by hand. I'm just going to punch this and punch the other side. And then all we have to do is take our ruler and our cutting blade and connect those two holes. Once we do it on the other side as well. We're good to go. And if you've watched our regular zipper tutorial, you know that's how, usually the way that I install zippers is I just make a slot like this and put it in. But if you want to do something a little fancier with nice rolled edges, this is kind of one of the ways to go. So what is this for? Well, this is to sandwich all of this stuff together. So this is going to simply go like this. And it's not going to look perfect on this side unless you're really, really good, but that's okay because this is just the inside of the bag. You know? So now we have to glue this in, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take make a little mark there and a little mark there. Now remember, this is a sample. If you were doing this on a regular bag, you would extend this all the way out, right? I'm just kind of showing you, I don't want to waste a ton of leather. So this is how you hide all of this stuff. We're going to put it right there. Okay? So now we got to apply glue to everything. You can, wow, we're really good on that. So we're just going to glue everything up, and then it's finally time to stitch. Okay, so when we unzip this, we have a nice double-sided leather, and now it's time to do all the stitching. So the first thing we're going to do is mark our stitch lines. Probably have to move your zipper around a bit. And all we're going to do is just find out how crooked our rolled edges are by seeing how crooked the stitch line is. Oh, they're not too bad. And then what I like to do on these is just extend the stitch line all the way across. You don't have to do that, but anytime I've made a bag or anything with a zipper sewn in like this, I always just sew basically 1, 2, and then 3, 4. So let's get this punched out. And here we go. So we got everything stitched up, all the seams hammered down. I trimmed everything up so it looks kind of nice. You can see on the back here, the main point of this seam is that you have no unfinished edges. You have no edges at all, actually, because these are all rolled. And then on the back, you have a fully finished back. So you don't have any zipper tape kind of hanging out. And then, of course, when you unzip the zipper and you go inside, you see finished grain leather. So this is good for bags. It's good for, you can make wallets out of it too if you want, if you have a wallet big enough. But just remember, this is a sample, and you would extend any edge to fit your piece, right? So that's going to be about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. We've been having a lot of fun just doing these little, basically exploding a bag apart and picking out single skills and making videos out of them. If you want to know, if you want any other tutorials, let us know. We're happy to make them. These are super fun for us too. And thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.